So, a slow start in the opening weekend of the Tokyo Olympics has some on Team USA feeling a little blue instead of gold, silver, or bronze. The U.S. is currently in second place in total medals, with China topping the leaderboard. So, Jamie Yuccas is joining us now from Tokyo with a little more about what's going on there, Jamie. So, I know there's a little bit of disappointment. It's not like Team USA isn't doing really well, but, you know, usually they expect to be leading the leaderboard. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus. Olympic organizers reported 16 new positive cases, bringing the total number of cases since the beginning of the month to 148. With the games now fully underway, do officials think that their safety measures are actually working?
Well, you know, the safety measures they have in place, they should be working, right? There's plexiglass up everywhere. You have to test every couple of days. Athletes, before they leave, you have to get tested 96 hours before your flight, 72 hours before your flight. That's why we've seen so many of these positive cases pop up before athletes are even arriving in the country. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. I can tell you they are cleaning the venues and spaces over and over again. Everything is spotless here. But I think, you know, what people are really talking about is that the athletes, what they try to do is only have the athletes come in a couple days before their event, and they have to leave within 48 hours once their event finishes. But if you look at that, there is some period of time before they leave, even though they're getting tested, that they could be in stadiums. They could be competing with other people. A number of people who are positive here as well are people who live in Japan. This is a largely unvaccinated country, so they could be people at the venues working certain concession stands, that type of thing, or janitorial work, that type of thing. So, you know, it's really one of those things that we're hearing about these cases, but I think they expected a little bit of that, and they're doing really the best they can given the circumstances. But I will say that's likely why you've had a lot of pushback in this country from the Japanese, saying that they didn't want to hold this in the first place. They didn't think that this was the right time. So you've still got that going on. I will tell you there was a little bit of sentiment change in that that we watched today as the triathlon was happening. A lot of spectators actually came out to try to watch that event happen, which they were asked not to do given the state of emergency here in this country, but they did. So there is still curiosity about the games happening here, but everyone looking to try to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, that's, you know, the balance between safety and kind of having something close to a normal Olympics, it's a hard balance to strike. So speaking of that, there's been an altered policy now when it comes to athletes and the photo op when they're standing on the podium getting their medal. Before they had to keep their masks on the whole time, but they're shifting things a little bit.
Well, so this is what's interesting, right? You saw the swimmers up on the podium, and this happened just within the last 24 hours. You saw Chase Kalish. He was up there. He didn't wear a mask. There were two other swimmers up on their podiums. They didn't wear a mask. There was then all this hubbub of, wait, they're supposed to keep their masks on for safety's sake. So what ended up coming out is all the swimmers who were on the podium said, no, there was somebody in front of us who actually said for pictures we were allowed to take our masks down. Now there has been new guidance that has been put out that for 30 seconds, if someone wins and they're on the podium, for 30 seconds they can pull their mask off, they can take a picture, and then they have to put it right back on. And everyone here, organizers are stressing that athletes should have their masks on at all times. We went to some venues today, some sporting venues. We went to field hockey. We saw some gymnastics over the last 24 hours. And I will tell you that they were putting their masks back on relatively quickly. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. But again, this is a change in terms of at the podium, because the athletes, you know, this is the biggest moment in their life. They do want to have a picture of them smiling
right.
And looking happy, and you can't really do that very well with a mask on.
Right, very good point. So, as part of Japan's pitch to win the 2020 Olympics, you know, they really touted the great weather, many mild days of sunny weather, great for competing. And then we see, like, athletes passing out. I think it's been quite hot. The men's triathlon. Athletes collapsing at the end because of the conditions. Just how bad is the weather there, and how is it affecting the athletes?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but we're in a different live location today because there's the potential for a typhoon to hit the area. So we had to bring all of our gear inside and then move indoors to do the live shots. So there's that aspect of it. But I will tell you, I lived in Florida for 6 years, and this is some of the most oppressive humidity I have ever felt in my life. It is not only hot, it's in the 90s here, but it's also the humidity is just oppressive. And so I think it really depends on the event. You know, I've been reading that in some of the tennis venues where there's the concrete flooring, you know, that type of thing, or like you said, the triathlon where they're having to run along a very hot road or asphalt. It seems to really be impacting the athletes quite a bit. In some of the other venues where there's air able to move through, or of course the indoor events like gymnastics where the air conditioning is blasting, it's very, very different. But I think if you have a venue where there's not a lot of airflow, it is going to be pretty oppressive if you haven't trained in this type of humidity before.
Okay, so before I let you go, what is going on with Team USA? There's some sort of disappointing losses. The basketball team lost to France. Gymnastics did well, but not as well as expected. So what's going on? And can we foresee a change in this pattern as we look forward, look ahead to some of the other events that are coming up?
Anne-Marie, I've talked to a lot of sports writers as they keep telling me it is early, it is early, it is early. We're only a couple days into this thing. Now, of course, we're Americans. We want to win. We want to, you know, we want that medal count. We want all those gold medals. We want to be the best. You know, I think there's a little disappointment. Katie Ledecky came in. She was supposed to be this huge superstar, win all the gold medals. She still had an incredible race today. She just didn't do as well as the Australian swimmer. You know, so you're seeing some times and just incredible athletic achievement here. It's just not getting them onto the gold medal stand. Now, I think there is real disappointment in terms of men's basketball, losing to France, people going, oh my goodness, what does the rest of the tournament look like? Taking a look, we're supposed to have some of the best players, you know, in the world in the NBA. How come they can't come together and play? And then, you know, the qualifications for women's gymnastics, that was, everybody was watching Simone Biles' face as she's making, you know, these frustrated faces and kind of like rolling her eyes at herself. It was very interesting to watch her kind of under the scrutiny. She put out a statement on Instagram today saying she feels like the weight of the world is on her. And I can tell you from being inside during those qualifications, the venues are weird. I mean, it's strange. They're empty. It's quiet. I had somebody actually start calling my cell phone. Luckily, it was on silent. But if it had been on, I think everybody in the arena, including Simone Biles, would have heard it. So that's, you know, they're having to contend with this very different you know, set of space to perform in. And Simone Biles also is so used to having her parents in the stands. She's told people that she really, before she goes up, she looks to her parents before she performs. Now they're having to bring her parents up on a Zoom. They're not in the crowd. They're not in the stands. So there could be some jitters. The COVID protocols could be making things more difficult. We'll have to see how the athletes overcome some of that.
Yeah, and well, as you pointed out, it's early. Who knows what could happen? Jamie Yuccas, thank you very much.